How much do you think it takes per year to have 4 kids with a stay-at-home wife?
Oof. Well, it's very area dependent.
Average, of
Bay
course.
Area versus Idaho is going to be very different.
So let's just talk then. High cost of living, like metro areas.
Metro
medium cost of
area,
living, and
single
low cost of
income,
living.
4 kids. Now, I'm going to say you don't have debt, all right? Because it's going to, now you got to way increase the income if you're in crippling debt. You got a bunch of cars, a huge mortgage. Let's say you have a reasonable mortgage. You followed our principles, 15-year fixed, 25% of your after-tax income, and no consumer debt. You can then survive on a decent, let's say a high-cost living area, $100,000. Because if you do the math on that, you're talking $6,000 a month probably coming in, maybe $5,000 if you're high taxes in California, and you have a reasonable mortgage. That's $2,000 a month. You got $3,000 a month to play with to cover food, utilities, insurance, a little bit of fun money
For 4 kids?
Well, it depends on the kid. I mean, how old are the kids? Are they in private school? All of that matters. But I mean, with kids, you're talking about maybe formula, diapers, and basic clothing.
Rice and beans.
Like, what do kids actually need? Well, we don't need to take them all to Disney every year. We're just making sure that they're fed, they're growing properly, they're healthy. That's about it.
I kind of agree with that. Like, I could be totally naive here because I don't have kids, but
Or a wife.
For a wife or a girlfriend.
Shout out to Jack if you're interested.
I do not remember being like needing expensive things when I was a kid. Like, all of the vacations that we would go on would just be backpacking trips. And so like we would just take the car out, load up our backpacks, we'd have a tent, and then we'd just walk somewhere and then boom, set up the tent and sleep. And then of course you have food. And then you have like, I was in soccer, but soccer was maybe like $100, $200 to sign up for a team.
Yeah.
And then aside from that, it's, insurance. But my mom was a public school teacher, so that was also.
Which is, she's not making the big bucks as a
Right.
public school teacher. And what you find is, the reality is a lot of people live in California making $100,000 household income. They exist and they make it work. And yet there's other people who make $350,000 who are in the red every month, paycheck to paycheck. And so it's really hard to say, well, if they just made this much money, they would be okay. Because as we know, half of those 6-figure earners are paycheck to paycheck. So you can't just say, well, if they made $200,000, it'd be reasonable. Because that lifestyle probably necessitates this fancy car that they can't afford, the big house that they can't afford. But when you go, this is the reality of how much we make, what can we actually afford? You just make different decisions and you make it work. There's sacrifices made when you have a stay-at-home spouse with 4 kids. You don't do the things that other people do.
Graham is under the impression that like to raise a family of 4, what do you think it would cost?
Like over 18
because
years
we
or
had
what?
a discussion with the Oppenheim.
Per month?
Per month. We had a discussion with the Oppenheim brothers, and they were throwing out like ludicrous numbers. And I'm like, there's just, my parents weren't making that amount.
How many of these people
like,
have 4 kids?
Well, no, 2 kids, because it's a family of 4. So how much?
Family of 4. Okay, I have a family of 4. Do they have a family of 4?
Well, no.
Graham does not. He's just
What
like
about
very
the
apprehensive
Oppenheimers?
to have kids because he feels like he can't afford it. So
I'm not apprehensive to have kids. I'm just saying I just don't think it's going to be a few grand a month.
So how much do you think a family of 4 needs to be bringing in to support the family?
I think it really is location dependent. If you own your house, Vegas, I'm going to say probably $125K a year minimum for a family of 4.
Is that assuming
Minimum.
there's no consumer debt?
Correct.
Let's assume there's no consumer debt. What don't you think it's a better way to live at that point? To just have no consumer debt. That way,
Yeah, that's why I said
income matters less.
125K.
He's saying 125K, no consumer debt. So like
yeah, I think that's a good life.
Yeah, about 10,000 a
but
month.
he said that's
including-
minimum.
But that's not to cover the kids. That's just to cover the entire household.
Everything.
Yeah.
Utilities,
The kids are this much
food,
of that. They might be
some travel,
5%
other
of that.
expenses, emergency. I think that's the minimum. I think it could be done for less, but I think that would be the amount that would be comfortable.
Yeah. As someone who is we have a 4-person family. I've got an infant. I've got a toddler. I can tell you what we spend on the kids, and it's diapers, it's formula, and honestly, all the toys and books we didn't purchase. They come from family and friends and birthdays.
It was
all that.
It was interesting that Chris Kamel was saying that when you raise kids in a nicer neighborhood, they cost significantly more. Just because if you don't keep up with what the other families are doing, the kids will feel excluded.
That's true.
And that you have to have your kids at the same level. Otherwise, they're the odd ones.
Well, I'll give you an example. Our neighborhood, like all of these little kids have these little, these little Jeeps, these little motorized cars they're driving around in. And so we got my daughter one because now she's just watching them drive around, not able to participate. And so for Christmas, my family got her a little motorized Jeep that she loves to ride around in now. But there is a level of you sort of, and that's funny that we learn this at such a young age, that you have to assimilate to the people around you. Otherwise, you stick out like a sore thumb. And there's a truth to it in that you want to be a part of this community. You sort of have to be like that community. Otherwise, eventually they go, hey, he's not really one of us, or they don't want to participate.
Would you say Nashville is similar cost of living to Vegas?
Oh, 100%.
So you're in Nashville, we're in Las Vegas. How much do you, as a family of 4, spend per month?
Probably $5,000, maybe $6,000 if we're really living. But that's our to cover it. Like if I had let's say I lost my job, we needed our emergency fund, and we cut back to a pretty just bare bones budget. We still enjoy our life, but we're kind of cutting out all the extras. I could bring it down. I could bring it down to $4 or $5 grand easily, because our actual expenses we have to cover are insurance for the home, taxes for the home, all the other insurances, auto, term life, all of that, and then food, which we could really, just shop at Aldi and meal prep and do all that kind of stuff if we had to. And the kids have plenty of crap. They don't need any more of it. And so I feel very confident that if there was a situation like that, I could trim way down. But if you look at the average home in Williamson County, which is the county we're in, it's $1 million now. It's the average price, which is crazy in Williamson County. And so I assume Vegas is similar.
I would say it's
to that.
Similar.
And depending on the area, you could probably find cheaper. Like if you went to the most expensive area of Vegas, it'd probably be more like that, of average home, at least $1 million.
I would agree with that. Now, I'm sure I don't need to say this, but buying a home is usually one of the largest and most important financial decisions you'll ever make. And with rates moving around, it's easy to feel the pressure to act fast. But the truth is, the right time to buy or refinance is when you're financially ready.
That's why today's sponsor, Churchill Mortgage, stands out. They're not a transactional lender. They're a trusted guide focused on helping you build a smart, long-term plan for homeownership.
And what really makes Churchill different is their focus on readiness. They walk you through your entire financial picture and help you understand what you could truly afford, not just what you could qualify for. It's way more than just a mortgage. It's a strategy.
And we've actually had Dave Ramsey on the podcast before, so we've talked firsthand about his philosophy around debt-free living and financial peace. Churchill has been his trusted mortgage company for over 30 years, which says a lot about how aligned they are with that long-term planning.
They also have a 4.9 rating on Google and were named a Newsweek top nationwide mid-size lender based on client ratings. That kind of trust doesn't happen by accident. So if you're thinking about buying a home or refinancing, get a customized plan built around your goals at churchillmortgage.com/coffee.
Again, that is churchillmortgage.com/coffee to learn more and to see what the smarter mortgage looks like for you. This is a paid advertisement, NMLS ID 1591, NMLS consumeraccess.org, equal housing lender.